Hi, I'm Chap Clark, and welcome to the Morning Moment. Thanks for joining me. I was reading this last week, Philip Yancey, who was here at St. Andrews in January 2020. I was reading a blog he wrote from March of 2020 called Praying All the Way to the Bank, where he was writing on people struggling financially and trying to help people to think about what is our prayer life as we deal with things that cause us to struggle. And my mind kind of went into the idea of we talk a lot about prayer in a lot of different ways and what we can do, but Jesus said this in Matthew chapter 11, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take upon my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light." For all of us, if you're in need right now, whether it's financial or physical or relational, or you're just all tied up in knots and you got this deep need, Jesus says, "Come to me." If you're worried about the future, perhaps, maybe the current circumstances are okay, but you're not sure about tomorrow. And maybe if you have plenty and everything's going great, but somehow there's a little anxiety, anxiousness, anger, frustration. There's so much that boils inside of the human person that Jesus knows us so well. So he says, "Come to me, you who are weary, and I'll give you rest." So Yancey, in his blog, talked about three kind of steps to prayer when we find ourselves in a place of anxiety. And I want to share those with you today. Perhaps these three steps could become something you practice today, maybe this week, for your own prayer life, especially if you're carrying something and you need to know, I got to come to you, Lord. Here's the first thing he says is the first step of the kind of prayer that will take our anxiety and hand it to Christ is to cry. To cry, help. Now, some of you are probably not the kind of people that say, well, it's not that bad. I'm not going to go cry to God. But maybe a deep sigh to cry, "Abba, Father." If God is aware of every sparrow that falls from the tree, don't you think he's aware of what causes you anxiety and struggle? He understands you, but he also knows us well enough to know that we need to come to him and cry to him and tell him the truth of what's going on the inside. That's that first step. Now, as we cry to him then, what's next? What else do we do? This is a part of prayer that a lot of people kind of stop at the crying out to God or giving him our requests, and we kind of stop at that one. But Yancey mentions this beautiful thought to, secondly, go to Psalm 1, meditate. Psalm 1 says this, "Blessed is the one whose delight is in the law of the Lord and who meditates on his law day and night." To meditate, to reflect on what you're crying about, what you're sighing about, what's inside your heart, what you're angry with. Not just cry out to the Lord, "I need your help." It's the first step. Second is to meditate on what's that about. Psalm 42:5 says, "Why, my soul, are you downcast? Why so disturbed within me?" That's a really great line for us to be able to ask, why are we so downcast? To take that cry and then to, in the presence of the Lord, invite him into the space where we meditate and reflect on what's that about. Let the Spirit speak into our lives so that we can kind of allow the Spirit of God to help us to understand that anxiety more as we come to him. And that leads to the third thing. See, prayer where we don't actually take anything away, prayer that we don't put into action, is really denying God's power in our life when we do come to him. To come to him and cry, "We need you, Lord." To come to him and invite him into that season of meditation, reflection. But thirdly, to resolve, I need you, God, to help me to take this away from me. To take my eyes and my heart off what is holding me back, that's causing me suffering or pain or struggle. As I come to you, I cry for help. I meditate on what that's about by your Spirit, but I also resolve that when I finish this prayer time, I'm going to walk out with you and ask you to help me to change where my focus is. See, when we cry out to God, that's a great first step. Come to me, you who are weary, and I'll give you rest. But then to actually allow him into the space for us to think about what is it we're actually carrying. And then resolve to ask him to change that in us as we move through our day. Try that. Cry, meditate, and resolve. May the Lord grant you his peace and his power as you trust him today.